Hello, ladies and gentlemen, this is Cargo, and this is some StarHawk beta. Now, I know most of you have actually beaten me to the punch, and I've already played this already, either because you have PS Plus and you got into the beta early, or because you're actually aware of what's going on and realized when the beta went public. But thank you to Red Moses for pointing out that the beta was public and I could in fact play it. I appreciate that, because I really wanted to play this beta, and I just kind of forgot about it, so thank you for that. But anyways, this StarHawk is kind of, for those of you who don't know or haven't played the beta yet, is essentially a spiritual successor to Warhawk, which was another PS3 exclusive when the PS3 first dropped. I mean, it was a successful game, like not Call of Duty successful, but it had people playing it all the way up. Well, it still has tons of people playing it, which is really, really good. It's a third-person shooter just like this one, and it had a lot of interesting elements with large maps and vehicles that people really enjoyed playing. Now, there's a lot of things that StarHawk is going to do new, but one of them is build in battle, which means that you can essentially build buildings on the fly. So bunkers, turrets, vehicle bays. Like right here, I'm building a turret to help protect me when I'm capturing the flag. Little do I know, the flag's actually not getting capped. But that's a prominent feature that you see throughout the game. But another thing that I want to point out that is so awesome is how visceral and like good sounding it all is. Here's a little taste. And that was pretty much just the buildings building. There wasn't a whole lot of... There was hardly any combat going on doing that. And the combat sounds just as good. The rockets, the guns, they all sound amazing. So, and I'm so happy a game has finally, made guns that sound awesome. There's not many games that do that. But yeah, so you can build in battle. Right now, you can see I am building a shield generator, which those are one of the most expensive things you can buy in the game, but it essentially prevents all incoming fire. And I think the build and battle system works really, really well. There is nothing you can build too fast that makes it overpowered. There's nothing that's any underpowered, I would say. I mean, it's just a good overall system. The only thing you can build that I'm not a big fan of is tanks. And of course, if any of you who have played notice that almost none of the maps actually play with tanks, because everybody realizes tanks are really stupid. Now, tanks by themselves aren't too bad, but it's people that have mortars on their tanks. I actually don't know how to use mortars. I never figured it out because I only played like 2 games with tanks before everybody stopped using them. But mortars essentially means you can sit behind like a wall or a mountain or something and fire over it and start destroying the enemy's buildings, and there's essentially nothing they can do about it, because it'll be like a tank driver and one guy, and they'll be able to hold off anybody who tries to kill them, essentially. So I would say that that is pretty annoying, and I hope that they end up nerfing the tank, or at least adjusting it so that it's significantly less annoying in the future for release. But that's really the only complaint I have with the vehicles in this whole game, which is surprising, because usually vehicles are a sore point for many people, and I as well. Let's see. Well, the vehicles they do have, other than the tank, of course, are StarHawks. Those things right there that are essentially transformers. They can fly as well as walk on the ground. And I will have some gameplay of that a little bit later where I'll talk some more about it. But then they also have Jeeps that you've seen me riding in, 3-person, with a turret on the back. They're pretty quick, as well as, I forget what they're called, but essentially they're jet skis for land, which is amazing, because jet skis are one of the most ingenious and fun. Oh, I love jet skis. Love jet skis. So much fun. Anyways, they're jet skis for the land, which, I mean, I don't know. They just make me so happy. You have to do it for yourself. I could just ride around on one of those things for the whole game and be happy. I wouldn't be worried about winning or anything. I just love those things. Let's see, they also have jetpacks, which don't have a whole lot of... I mean, you can get going decently fast going forward, but they're more for just hopping up and down cliffs quickly. And I've read about some issues and seen some issues on YouTube about people like glitching with like the rifle or something when they're jetpacking, and I haven't been able to recreate it, and I'm not exactly sure what they're talking about, but I have heard that that's an issue. So if it is an issue, hopefully that gets cleaned up. But other than that, I've been having a great time. It's only 2 game modes so far, Team Deathmatch and Capture the Flag, but having an immense amount of fun. Alright, so here is some StarHawk gameplay. Now, one of the biggest things about Warhawk was that if you had a bunch of people on the other team with Warhawks who were really good, there was literally nothing you could do. They would just annihilate you. Now, Warhawks in that game could not switch to ground mode, so they were slightly different, but they were super effective. And they could also dodge missiles like nobody's tomorrow. They definitely toned down the amount that you can maneuver, because you see me doing some backflips, that's not a correct term, but doing some maneuvers there, and it's just enough that you can dodge missiles in a relatively quick fashion. But in Warhawk, you were just literally... people were just like spinning in circles in the air, and it was retarded. You could not hit them. It was so dumb. So I'm glad that that's been nerfed in StarHawk, because that was really annoying. But something they also did well in StarHawk is making these things a lot more fragile than they were in Warhawk, because you can engage ground troops okay with these ones, but if they have rocket launchers, you almost never want to turn to ground mode. You'll just get annihilated. So I really appreciate the fact that they've made these things powerful and good for air superiority, but not too overpowered where they can just land and take out everything. Like, you would never take on a tank head to head while you're on the ground with one of these things. So that's good. They don't have really all that many air-to-ground weapons, and like the only thing they have is some giant missile that you'll see me using in a little bit here that can take out shields and stuff like that. But like in Warhawk, they had bombs that were really good at taking out infantry and tanks, and I really wish they had some stuff like that so in this game. Now maybe they will add them later and I just haven't seen them. But I haven't seen anything so far that's dedicated air-to-ground except for that giant missile. And the giant missile respawns very slowly, so it's not the best weapon. It's more for taking out shields, not for taking out tanks. And I feel that's maybe one of the reasons why tanks are so good in this game, is because nothing like Warhawks or StarHawks can't take them out. Because if you had bombs, you'd be able to take up tanks more easily, but you can't do that. So I really hope they add that. That's the only major gripe I have about the StarHawks, and that's not even about the StarHawks. It's just about the weapons. Everything else is good, as far as their maneuverability, how they feel when they're flying, and then the weapons that come with them. They did add a new weapon to StarHawk that they didn't have in Warhawk, which was it's like a shotgun for your StarHawk. Essentially, it's pretty sweet. Of course, like any shotgun, you would expect it to be close range, which it is, and it's very devastating at close range. It just takes a couple of shots to take somebody out. And then, of course, you have your primary, I don't know, you'd call them laser cannons, laser guns, laser machine guns, who knows. But yeah, alright, so here's that big missile. And I'm actually not going for the shields, but they have tons of turrets. Well, I should have gone for the shield in retrospect, but oh well. And then here is kind of an example of a small offensive base, because part of StarHawk is balancing offensive versus defensive building, because you don't want everybody to be playing SimCity in your base, because then there's no way you're going to be able to cap the enemy's flag. So you want to balance it so you have enough buildings to defend your base, yet have enough buildings to guard your offensive base so you can spawn really close. Because one of the buildings you can build is a spawn beacon, essentially. So I do think I'll be picking up this game, though, when it drops May 8th, because it's pretty fun. It's kind of like Resistance 3 in the fact that it's really fun to play in a casual manner. So thanks for watching, guys. Keep calm and super champion.